What's going on YouTube? So let me just first start off by saying that the day this video is releasing is my birthday. So before we even jump into the run, start by just putting in the comments, happy birthday DwunD, and let's see if we can get this video up to 50 likes for my birthday. I would really love that. But anyways, we're going to be running one of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 4 today, Darkrai. If we take a look at its stats, 600 base total, but for Gen 1 purposes, we're going to have 135 base special and 125 speed. The special's not quite the same as Mewtwo's, but the speed will be enough to outspeed pretty much everything in the game and crit on most of our attacks. Now let's take a look at our Darkrai. And it knows just Disable. And this is something Gym Leader Matt has covered in I believe his Gardevoir video, which I also believe was the last cross-gen run he did using the Sanqui tool. I'm going to talk about some of the things he brought up, probably not all of them, but first and foremost, the Sanqui tool is a randomizer, so it doesn't cater to one Pokemon. Every Pokemon can learn any HM, including Ditto and Magikarp, so you don't get soft-locked in the game. Another which you'll see soon enough in the video, is that Pokemon don't have back sprites, at least not all of them. And Darkrai is one of those mons, along with Rhyperior, who we're going to be running later this summer, and one I'm excited for. Now, if you're watching this video, you're more than likely a fan of Gym Leader Matt's or Scott's thoughts, and I know both of them use tools to help with their runs, such as RBY XP Router, Game Hooked, just to name a few, and I believe those tools do not work with the Sanqui tool, don't quote me on that though. Now, just like Matt and Scott, I've been messing with the disassembly, but I'll admit, I still suck at coding. I'm still learning. I'm not quite on their level yet where, you know, Matt is putting the Alolan Pokemon in Pokemon Red, or, you know, Scott putting Kingdra or Heracross in Pokemon Yellow. So if you're someone who wants to help me out with that and add them on to the game, I can tell you my ideas, the moveset I want. I can create the sprites, that's something I've been working on a little bit, and I'll be forever grateful for you helping me and shout you out in my video or whatever you'd like. Now, to kind of wrap this all up, one of the options in the Sanqui tool, which if you want to see what it looks like or use it yourself, Google it, it's the first link. One of the options is to start with 4 moves, and always start with an attacking move. And while I have these clicked for all my runs, it doesn't always happen. So, with the power of Game Shark, I'm going to modify Darkrai's moveset. I took a look at its moveset from each gen. We all know its signature move is Dark Void, which you learn on average looking at all the gens in the 60s. But I also have no idea if Dark Void is actually in this game. It probably isn't because, you know, there's only so many moves they can add, and, you know, only so much code you can put into the game. So being that Darkrai is known to give nightmares and has the ability Bad Dreams, I decided to give it Hypnosis and Dream Eater. Now, Nightshade was an option here, but I did ask a few folks and wanted to, you know, just gauge it to see if starting with Hypnosis and Dream Eater was too OP. And the consensus was I could have gone either way. And a big thing about it is that Brock starts with 5 full heals for each of his Pokemon, so I'm going to need to hit 10 Hypnosis total, at least to drain up the 5 PPs on the Geodude and the Onix, and then an additional Hypnosis just to hit Dream Eater. And remember, it is 60% accuracy, so what are the chances of that? Plus, Dream Eater probably won't be on my moveset by the time I get to the mid-game, because we're going to have a lot more options and better options for special attacks like Thunderbolt, Psychic, Ice Beam, that's just a few to name. And to finish out its moveset, I decided to give it Quick Attack and Confuse Ray. It tends to learn Quick Attack at level 11, but I decided to give it a couple levels early because even though Darkrai's 90 attack stat is pretty good, it's nothing to write home about, and with 135 base special matching Alakazam, we're not going to be using a move like Quick Attack when we have a special move as an option. Now with all that out of the way, let's get into the actual run. I'm going to show this first rival battle just because I've been rambling for almost 5 minutes at the beginning of this video, and you can take a look at Darkrai's back sprite here. It's just its front sprite really zoomed in, but a few quick attacks and the Squirtle goes down really quickly. Making my way through Viridian Forest, I want to battle all the bug catchers because it's quick experience, and being that we're in the slow level up group, I want to have some extra HP and defense for Brock's Pokemon, because he does have 5 full heals, and Hypnosis is 60% accurate, and we're going to need to hit it along with Dream Eater in order to win that battle. Upon arriving in Pewter, I heal up and head immediately for the gym and face the Junior Late Years trainer. And while Diglett does outspeed and gets off a sand attack, I do manage to hit my first Hypnosis. But I miss my first Dream Eater after putting it to sleep, but hit the second one, and then finish it off with a quick attack. Now the Sandshrew does worry me and is annoying. I confuse it early, but it snaps out immediately and Hypnosis can't seem to land. But when it does hit, it's 2 Dream Eaters, and we nearly heal up to take it out. I save and decide to take on Brock. Now what I should have done is exit and heal at the Pokemon Center and come back, because I only have 14 Hypnosis PP left, which means I'll probably need to hit all 14 in a row to win this battle, since Brock has 5 full heals for each of his Pokemon. After a miss of Hypnosis on Geodude, I confuse it, and you can see the luck I'm getting. I'm not going to have enough left for Onix, and while Brock does run out of full heals on the Geodude, it wakes up immediately after I get off a Dream Eater on it and heal myself, so I have to rely on chip damage from Confusion and Quick Attack to take it out. While I am able to get by Geodude, Sanqui Onix is much better than normal Red and Blue Onix. It has Rock Throw, Rage, Bide, and I don't remember its 4th move, it's Tackle or Bind. And I only have 4 Hypnosis left going into Onix, so Dream Eater won't be an option. And 7 Confuse Rays, although now 6 because I used one turn 1. And while I get lucky and hit 3 Hypnosis in a row against Onix, the full heals make it null and void. Onix eventually goes for Rage, which puts me on a timer, because my attacks don't do enough to it with its high defense, and with its attack keep rising as I chip away at it, Onix eventually maxes out its attack, gets through Confusion, and finishes Darkrai. I'm going to play another loss in the background as I talk about this, but Brock, like for most solo runs, pending the Pokemon, was the toughest gym leader. Early game Darkrai relies on sleep and confusion tactics, unfortunately. Giving it Nightshade might have made this split quicker, since it could hit his rock Pokemon for 8 to 9 HP of damage per turn, but I would also need the luck of them hitting themselves in confusion while doing little chip damage with Quick Attack, which, like battles like this one in the background, I couldn't even make it by the Geodude. And I know there might be someone out there like, you shouldn't have to rely on luck for X and Y to happen and, you know, all this stuff, but it's just how some battles go, unfortunately, in these solo runs. On my 4th attempt against Brock is when I finally get a breakthrough. Geodude does get lucky and hits through Confusion to hit me with 2 tackles to bring me down to half HP, but then I get lucky with 4 Hypnosis hits in a row. I get a little worried because I get down to 8 HP at one point, which at that point another tackle would knock me out. But RNG is somewhat on my side. I hit a 5th Hypnosis to use up all of Brock's full heals, and Geodude either hits itself in Confusion or goes for Defense Curl. I managed to get by the Geodude with 21 HP left due to leveling up as we head into Onix. I start the Onix battle the same way as Geodude by confusing it, and then I just keep going for Hypnosis to try and run out those full heals. It helps because Onix either hits itself in Confusion or goes for Bide, and since I'm not doing damage to it, it can't hit me. I do get down to 5 PP of Hypnosis and I really need to hit these final few, which I managed to do, and Brock is out of full heals at this point, and a Dream Eater can take out the Rock Snake, and Darkrai has won the battle. Moving on to Route 3 towards Mount Moon, the trainers here are no challenge for Darkrai. Our Hypnosis and Dream Eater combo can one-shot pretty much everything over here thanks to some Pokemon being poison typing, and because of our 135 base special. I did record some optional battles in Mount Moon, like the last with the Bellsprout and Oddish, the mandatory Super Nerd, and one other trainer. I had plans to show them as some easy trainers to grind on for some extra experience, since we are in the slow level up group, and we don't really have any stab moves to take advantage of our dark typing, and there's really no point in showing those trainer battles, so we can go ahead and move on to exiting Mount Moon. Which, exiting, we're at 32 minutes in game time. Not bad, slightly behind Arceus' pace. Since we don't have a dark type move on our moveset, I decided to take on Rival 2 because I feel like it's the better option over Misty. and it'll get me some extra levels before taking on Misty. The rival leads with Pidgeotto, and I start by confusing it and then get the worst luck. I miss my opening Hypnosis and it gets off a Sand attack, and I just continue to miss Hypnosis after Hypnosis. And the one time I do hit, it wakes up immediately. It brings me down to 4 HP before I'm able to knock it out. Next is Abra, and this thing can't attack me, but even if it could, its psychic attacks can't do anything. And on to the Rattata. I miss Hypnosis after Hypnosis, but I get lucky with it doing so much damage to itself in confusion that I just knock it out with a quick attack. And last is Squirtle. I miss my first Confuse Ray and it hits Bubble to bring me to 7 HP. I manage to hit the next one, and while it does hit itself a few times, I keep missing Hypnosis, and it finishes off Darkrai once it snaps out of it. I decide to try Misty because maybe she will be easier, and I actually reset after this battle so I could take on the optional trainer with the Horsey and Shelter for the extra XP. I start by confusing Staryu, which it does hit itself, then I just start going for Hypnosis. When I do hit, it immediately wakes up, but I hit my next one, I hit it with Dream Eater to do big damage, and a quick attack finishes it off. Next is Starmie. It outspeeds and hits me with Bubble Beam that does nearly half my health, with no crit. I confuse it, and then I get the best Hypnosis luck. I go for Dream Eater just to see the damage, and it isn't doing much, but it is healing up my HP. It's probably doing more than Quick Attack thanks to the X Defend. Once it wakes up, I put it back to sleep, and I finally get the lucky crit that I've been waiting for with Quick Attack, and I finish it off for the Cascade Badge. I have to beat Rival 2 in order to advance in the game now, and I start by confusing the Pidgeotto, but it still gets off a Sand attack, and I can't hit a Hypnosis or a Quick Attack to save my own life. After it gets off another Sand attack on me, I decide to just reset because I'm fighting a losing battle anyway. In the very next battle, I get all the luck. I start by confusing Pidgeotto and it hits itself turn 1. I'm able to get off a Hypnosis, and then Dream Eater does huge damage. A second one finishes it off. Next is Abra, and we know about Abra, we can just move on to Rattata. Now against the Rat, I confuse it and it hits itself as well. I'm able to put it to sleep, and one Dream Eater finishes it. Last is Squirtle. I confuse it and it gets through to hit me with Bubble. I finally hit a Hypnosis, and Dream Eater does huge damage. It wakes up after having its dreams eaten, and Quick Attack is enough to finish it off. And from here we can go on to Nugget Bridge. There are a few problems on Nugget Bridge. The Zubats with Leech Life, they can do some pretty big damage, and the Nidorans all have Double Kick, which is also a problem for Darkrai. And I did battle the one hiker guarding the hidden elixir, just so I could prevent myself from having to walk back to restore PP, but that's really it. We can move on to the SSN. And we'll be skipping Body Slam in this video because Darkrai can't learn it. We will be picking up the Gentleman Candy on our way out, but of course, you know, we have to beat Rival 3. And this battle is very similar to the Rival 2 one. Against the Pidgeotto, I start by confusing it and it hits me with Sand Attack. And of course, we're gonna start missing a bunch, but I do hit my second Hypnosis. Dream Eater is enough to one-shot it. Next is Raticate. It just goes for Quick Attack. As I confuse it, it does hit itself a few times, but I just keep missing Hypnosis, and that Sand Attack is catching up to me. Eventually, I switch to my own Quick Attack just to try to finish off the Rat here, and we eventually do, and we can move on to Kadabra. Which, speaking of Kadabra, this thing has no attacks that can hurt me. One Quick Attack does over half, and a second crit and finishes it. Last is Wartortle, and I confuse it, it hits itself, and I just try to put it to sleep, which I do. Dream Eater does big damage, healing me up in the process, and a second finishes it. We're not going to be saying Bon Voyage to the SSN this week, we're going straight to Lieutenant Surge. Now, because I don't use the Pokemon Center in Vermilion City because I like to have my waypoint set to Cerulean so I can just dig out of the chairman's house and end up back at the Pokemon Center in Cerulean, I only have 5 PP of Hypnosis. I do have PP restoring items, but I like to save them, and only if I lose will I pop one. But on to the battle. Voltorb's the lead. I hit my first Hypnosis, but it wakes up immediately. I hit the second, and Dream Eater finishes it. Crit didn't matter. Next is Pikachu, and I just go for Quick Attack because I'm trying to save my remaining PP of moves for Raichu, and this thing's really weak. We can just move on to Raichu. Now, against it, I confuse it, it hits me with a Tail Whip, I miss Hypnosis, and it hits me with Thunderbolt, but I hit Hypnosis, and then Dream Eater does big damage, and I just go for the safe play of Quick Attack to finish it. And we can really just make our way to Rock Tunnel. The trainers here, there's really not much to talk about. And we're not going to show the self-destructing hiker this week, we're just going to move on to exiting Rock Tunnel. Which, when exiting, we're at 1 hour 29 minutes in-game time. It's pacing ahead of recent Pokemon on the channel like Hitmonlee. Arceus and Gardevoir, I actually didn't record the Rock Tunnel timestamp. I'm disappointed in 6 months ago me for that. But a mon like Feraligatr, who has posted the best time so far, was at 1 hour 11 minutes and had 3 badges before the 1 hour mark. It shakes its head at the Nightmare Pokemon. But now, the mid-game is where Darkrai becomes the most powerful version of itself. We're going to head straight to Celadon to get 2 fresh waters. One we'll give to the little girl for TM13 Ice Beam. The other we'll use to gain access to Saffron to visit Mr. Psychic to get TM29 Psychic. With Ice Beam, Psychic, Thunderbolt, which I forgot to mention before Darkrai can learn, and Hypnosis, this should complete our moveset. With a new arsenal of moves, I make my way to Erica, where I battle nearly every trainer in her gym for easy XP and take on the Grass Leader. And Erica, with our new moves and our bloated special stat, is no match for us. Victory Bell goes down to a Psychic, and while Tangela does hang on from a crit Psychic, it just goes for Poison Powder. We finish it the next turn. Vileplume is last, and while it withstands a Psychic, Erica just uses a retroactive Super Potion. And really, there's not much to say on this one. I feel like it should have just been a one-shot sweep. But now we have to go through the game corner and take on Giovanni, which I think 2 out of 3 of his Pokemon will be a one-shot sweep. And that is the case. Both Onix and Rhyhorn go down to 1 Ice Beam. And while Ice Beam does maybe a quarter Kangaskhan, I go for Psychic on the next turn, and it gets a crit and knocks it out. With the Sylph Scope in hand, it's time to take on Rival 4. And with Thunderbolt on my moveset, we're able to knock out the annoying bird Pidgeotto in 1 hit. Growlithe is next, and a Thunderbolt takes it out in 1 hit. Execute, I have Ice Beam, 1 shot. Kadabra has nothing that can hit me, and it's just 2 Thunderbolts to knock it out. Last is Wartortle, and Darkrai right now has the perfect moveset for all of his Pokemon, as Thunderbolt takes it down in 1 hit. After completing the Pokemon Tower, I head to Saffron City, but instead of going to Silphco first, I'm gonna head to Fighting Dojo. With Psychic on our moveset, this is a great place to train, especially since all the fighting Pokemon have a very low special stat. And with us being slightly underleveled, and with the Rival 5 battle coming up next, I just really don't want to get bodied by anything. After training up in the Fighting Dojo, I head to Silphco to test my luck with Rival 5. And this one is very easy and very similar to Rival number 4. Pidgeot is the lead, I go for Thunderbolt, and a crit one-shots it, don't know if the crit mattered. I also Thunderbolt crit Growlithe, it goes for Leer, we knock it out the next turn. Execute is next, and it goes down to 1 Ice Beam. Next is Alakazam, I go for Ice Beam, it does over half, it disables Psychic, that's fine, I wasn't going to use it anyway, and another Ice Beam and Thunderbolt take it out. Last is Blastoise, and even though it hangs on from a Thunderbolt, it hits me with a weak bubble, and we knock it out. Next up is Giovanni, and just like most trainers so far, we have the answer for him. Psychic and Ice Beam are able to one-shot his entire team, except for Kangaskhan, who I have to put to sleep with Hypnosis after an opening Psychic, and then Thunderbolt it down the rest of the way. After beating Giovanni, we're going to make our usual trip to the 10th floor, but we're only going to be picking up the Carbos and the Rare Candy. No TM26 Earthquake this week. Now let's finish business in Saffron by taking on Sabrina. The only one of her Pokemon that is a worry is Sanqui Venomoth, because it knows Signal Beam, which could do some big damage. Kadabra is the lead, and this thing doesn't have any attacks that can hit me. It goes for Recover, Disable, and Psybeam, which can't hurt me, before going down to 3 Thunderbolts. Mr. Mime is next. I go for Ice Beam and get a crit. It just goes for Reflect and we knock it out the next turn. Sanqui Venomoth, meet Psychic, get 1 shot. Last is Alakazam, and I just go for Ice Beam because I don't want to get Recover stalled by this thing, but it just goes for Disable each turn, and we're able to knock it out quickly. With Sabrina out of the way, I can head south down Cycling Road to Fuchsia City, where I can head to the Safari Zone next to collect the remaining HMs of the run, and then we're going to head to the gym to take on the Ninja Master, Koga. In this battle, even though I got poisoned by the Juggler before him, it's a one-shot sweep with Psychic, we can just move on. And with all the HMs in hand, it's time to take our trip south of Pallet to Cinnabar Island, where we go through the Pokemon Mansion, and we're going to pick up TM14 Blizzard before taking on the Quizmaster Blaine. And Sanqui Blaine gave me a rude awakening. Psychic does over half to the opening Growlithe, but it burns me with a flamethrower before going down. Next is Ponyta, and Psychic can't knock it out, and it traps me in Fire Spin. Luckily, Fire Spin only lasts 2 turns and we take it out. Next is Rapidash. Psychic does less than half. It hits me with a big Fire Blast before taking me down with Takedown. I decided to battle a few trainers in Blaine's gym to gain a level since I wasn't too far away, and then decided to pop some rare candies until I got to level 50. And at level 47, I have the option to learn Double Team. Now, I know myself and other folks who make this type of content hate to use Double Team. However, majority of our rules ban the use of the TM for Double Team, and I tend to side with folks like Scott and Gym Leader Matt, where if a Pokemon learns it in its natural moveset, then it's fair game, which I guess I'll give this spoiler now. The reason I haven't released my Gardevoir video yet is because it starts with Double Team, and in my first playthrough of that, I did not use the move once. I wanted to ban it. But since then, I've had a change of heart, and since it learns it naturally, I'd like to see how its time could improve with the use of Double Team and Badge Boost. Now that we're level 50, let's have our rematch with Sanqui Blaine. Against Growlithe, I start by setting up Double Teams, and Growlithe gets lucky hitting me with 4 moves in a row, 3 Flamethrowers, and a Takedown, before it goes down to 2 Psychics. Talk about luck. Next is Ponyta, and I set up another Double Team. It misses Fire Spin, as I miss Psychic and it misses Takedown. I hit Psychic as it misses its final Fire Spin before going down to Thunderbolt. Up next is Rapidash. Psychic does over half, and it hits me with a Fire Blast, crits, and burns me. What luck is this, Blaine? Last is Arcanine. My Psychic does a quarter, it goes for Roar, and my next Psychic crits and knocks it out. That is the luck I needed. Even with Double Team, we almost lost. And last is Giovanni. Saving in front of him, 3 hours 18 minute timestamp. We're looking like we're going to finish around maybe 3 hours 40 minutes. And this one, there isn't much to say about it. Ice Beam one-shots all of his Pokemon, and we can just move on to Rival 6. And since hitting the mid-game, Darkrai really hasn't had a problem with the rival, and I don't expect Rival 6 to be any different. But on to the battle. Per usual, Pidgeot is the lead. I start out by setting up 2 Double Teams, and it just goes for Whirlwind and Wing Attack. Thunderbolt is able to one-shot it. Probably didn't need the Badge Boost setup. Ice Beam takes down Rhyhorn in 1 hit. Growlithe, who I wanted to set up for, Psychic doesn't knock it out, and it goes for Outrage. Didn't know Sanqui Growlithe knew Outrage. We take it out, and Execute goes down to 1 Ice Beam. Next is the Pokemon that can't hurt me. Ice Beam freezes it on its first attempt, and we knock it out next turn. Blastoise is last, and Thunderbolt knocks it out. Rival 6, pretty easy. Finally, Darkrai can make its way through the league. I'm going to opt to pick up the optional rare candy in Victory Road because it might come in handy, along with battle a few optional trainers. Saving outside of Lorelei's chamber, we're at 3 hours 35 minutes. What will our final time be, and can Darkrai make it through the league on its first attempt? First up is Sanqui Dugong, which knows Signal Beam, but 1 Thunderbolt takes it down. Crit might have mattered. Cloyster's next, and it too goes down into 1 Thunderbolt. Slowbro is bulky, but Thunderbolt is able to one-shot it as well. Jinx is next, and Thunderbolt does about a quarter. It crits me with Body Slam. I decide to set up Double Team, and then it crits me with Double Slap, hitting 3 times in a row. Another Double Team, and now it paralyzes me with Body Slam. I just keep going for Thunderbolt, trying to chip away at it. It hits me with another Double Slap, but thankfully, our next Thunderbolt knocks it out. Last is Lapras. It hits me with a big Blizzard. I'm fully paralyzed. It hits me with Body Slam, but Thunderbolt takes it out. Lorelei, the scariest of the Elite Four, mostly because I really didn't have an answer for Jinx and couldn't take it out in 1 hit. And next is Bruno. And even though he gave Arceus a problem because the Sanqui Hitmons have 110 base special, thanks to the Chansey rule being in effect and giving them their special defense stat, as the higher of the two. His team is a one-shot sweep with Ice Beam and Psychic. And next up is Agatha. We have Psychic on our moveset. We're a Dark type, so her Gengars with Shadow Ball won't do much damage. You can see I didn't even heal before this battle. It's a one-shot sweep with Psychic and Ice Beam for the Golbat. Next up is Lance, and I thought about teaching Blizzard for this battle, but I don't think I'll need the extra pop just yet. I thought I could save it for the champion, and I was right. And just like with Bruno and Agatha, his entire team is a one-shot sweep with Ice Beam, and of course Thunderbolt for the Gyarados. All that's left is the champion for the Dark Lord of Sinnoh. And before the battle, I teach Blizzard in place of Ice Beam, and use my 2 remaining PP ups on it. I want some extra pop for the Exeggutor and Alakazam because I feel like they might be the most trolly. But I'm not gonna sit here and just ramble on about it, let's just get into the battle. First up is Pidgeot, and I decide to set up one double team for some badge boost. It begins to glow for Sky Attack, so I decide to just knock this thing out as quick as possible with Thunderbolt, and that's 1 down. Next is Alakazam, who can't hurt me. I set up another double team, and I go for Blizzard, hoping for a freeze. Don't get it. It uses Recover, and I just go for Thunderbolt, hoping for Paralysis, but it goes for Reflect, and another Thunderbolt can knock it out. Not quite. It's 2 Thunderbolts to knock it out. Damn your high special. Rhydon is next, and Blizzard, yeah, it's gonna one-shot this thing. Next is Arcanine. Don't really have an answer for it, so I go for Psychic. I get a special drop, I go for another Psychic, and it hangs on. Bite misses, and a 3rd Psychic can knock it out. Exeggutor's next. I taught Blizzard for this Pokemon specifically, and Blizzard one-shots it. Last is Blastoise, and Thunderbolt will make quick work of it, and just like that, Darkrai has defeated his former master, Tobias, to conquer the League of Kanto. But let's get to what you guys really want to see, our final time and level. Darkrai finishes at level 61, with a final in-game time of 3 hours, 45 minutes. Looking at the tier list, I think I'm gonna put it at the top of the B tier, right ahead of Gardevoir, who could leapfrog it by the time that video comes out. I still have to do a second playthrough with it, because at the time I made that video, Gardevoir actually starts with Double Team on its moveset, and at the time of making that video, I was like, you know, I'm not gonna use Double Team, I feel like it's cheap, but since then, you know, I've kinda loosened up about it. Just like in this video, you know, Darkrai learned Double Team by Level Up naturally, so I feel like it's fair game, and it's not like I'm using the TM for it, which like just makes anything easy. You know, just go into any battle, set up 6 Double Teams, and you're almost golden. But, you know, I'll also be the first to admit, had I not modified Darkrai's moveset before the beginning of this run, we might have seen a time as bad as, let's say, Hitmonchans or Sneasels. But I might have also just said screw this run at the point as well, because let's be real, after doing a run with Raichu where I had to struggle train up to, you know, the early 20s, or Jinx where I had to be level 18 to deal neutral damage, I want those runs to be few and far between. And eventually, you know, we are going to do Weedle on the channel, we're going to do Ditto on the channel, but those will come much later. Matter of fact, I'll go on record saying this. If I can get 1,000 subs by the end of summer, by August 31st, I'll run a poll, and I'll let you, the viewers, pick. Do you want Ditto in Red and Blue? Do you want Weedle in Red and Blue? Or do you want something like Unknown in Pokemon Crystal? I'll make it a 1,000 subscriber special, but only if we hit 1,000 subs by the end of August. As far as the next run, I haven't decided yet. I might do Tentacruel because there's been some noise regarding it. I am actually talking to someone about doing a special run with a Pokemon from Gen 9 in Red and Blue. I might do Rhyperior. I might do that Pokemon Yellow hack where your starter is Cramorant. That looks pretty interesting. Anyway, thank you for the continued support on the channel, and until the next video, I'll see you then. Take care, everybody.